Thank you to Rosie's Bar and Grill and the talented women therein. Thank you to Jane for sharing your inspiring history of the Women's Wall. If you haven't visited it, please visit it before you leave. We will move forward protecting the achievements that we have gained. And we know that to do that, we know we stand on a lot of people's shoulders. We hope that we will have shoulders that others will be able to stand on after us. We want to be the bearers of those kinds of shoulders, but we know we're standing on the shoulders of many others from the past who sacrificed, and we reap the benefits today. Among those women suffragettes were two women from Missouri, and maybe you know this and maybe you don't. But these two women played a key role in the suffrage movement. And through the magic of Kansas City women, we're going to hear from them today, those women from our past. We're going to hear from Edna Gellhorn, spoken by Kansas City's prosecutor Jean Peters Baker, and we're also going to hear from Virginia Minor, spoken by former State Representative Vicki Walker. Our speakers from the past, our Missouri women, shoulders we're standing on from the past, will be joined by two other women from Kansas City, former council member Joanne Collins and Laura Alvarez from Guadalupe Center. And they'll speak about voting rights and some of their personal and community challenges that they have faced. So let's welcome our Missouri women from the past and our present women. Thank
you. Good afternoon. On a day like today, words of my grandmother are ringing in my head that today is not a day for sissies. And as a smart politician, today is a day for brevity as well. So I am Jean Peters Baker, your prosecutor, but I want to read you words of a very strong Missouri woman named Edna Gellhorn. So for the next couple of moments, I am Edna Gellhorn. From 1910 until the 19th Amendment passed in 1919, I canvassed the state of Missouri. That is 9 years. Speaking with people about securing women's right to vote. I told the people I met that without this essential liberty, women weren't even second-class citizens. The Statue of Liberty, standing in New York's harbor, has always been and remains a woman. Yet the mothers, daughters, sisters, and wives of this great nation did not possess the right to vote. Doesn't that seem just a little bit dishonest? When the Democratic National Convention was held in this great state in St. Louis in 1916, many of us across the great nation had already been working tirelessly for women's suffrage. We wanted the convention delegates to see us standing and waiting for our very basic liberty, our right to vote. So, over 3,000 women gathered on the streets of St. Louis, dressed in white, with yellow sashes, and we stood silent as the men entered the convention hall. Silent. A St. Louis Post-Dispatch editorial said about this silent parade that we mutely asked democracy to throw her a plank in the political seas. She asked, why shouldn't a female have equal rights? Devotees of liberty and equality look at her in the face and tell her why. Why indeed? We were educated, we had raised children, and many had entered the workforce. Aren't we just as entitled as our husbands and our fathers and our brothers and our sons to choose who represents us? 3 more years would pass before the 19th Amendment finally became the law of this great land, guaranteeing the women the liberty and equality that so many of us fought for so diligently. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have that right, and now we must really utilize it. Not only must we cast our right to vote, but we must run for office. We must step up and run for office, and we need to be good at it. We need to be good at it. Thank you.
Well, I see that the Missouri summers have not gotten any cooler since the 1880s. I did borrow some cooler clothes for today, however, but I must say bearing one's arms in public would have caused quite a scandal in my day, much less bearing one's ankles. And these newfangled shoes are the most comfortable I've ever had the pleasure of placing my feet. So scandals, who cares? But then we did cause scandals during my time, didn't we, ladies? My name is Virginia Minor, and in 1867 I launched the Women's Suffrage Association of Missouri. 5 years later, I became part of a nationwide movement for women's rights. It may seem strange for women today to think about the time when we did not have access to the ballot box. And why? Simply because of our sex. According to the first section of the 14th Amendment, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. I was born in the United States. Therefore, I am a citizen of the United States as well of the state of Missouri. Quote, the right of citizens to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude, unquote. In case you don't recognize it, it's the first sentence of the 15th Amendment, which took effect in March 1870. Since I am a citizen of Missouri and of the United States of America, I am clearly allowed to vote, am I not? Yes. In 1872, I attempted to exercise that right in the city of St. Louis. The registrar denied my request, so I filed a lawsuit. Or should I say my husband filed the lawsuit, because not only was I denied the right to vote as a woman, I was denied the right to file a lawsuit because I was a woman. As a free citizen of Missouri and the United States and over the age of 21, according to the 14th Amendment, I should have the right to vote, should I not? According to the registrar, Mr. Reese Hapsett, the Missouri Constitution stated, every male citizen of the United States shall be entitled to vote. But the United States Constitution states no such gender discrimination, and according to law, the United States Constitution takes precedence over state constitution. I took my case to the Missouri Supreme Court, and in 1873, the court stated that according to our state constitution, only men were granted the right to vote. Where could I take my case next? The United States Supreme Court, of course. My case was argued in February 1875 and decided in March of that same year. All 9 men of the United States Supreme Court upheld the decisions of the lower courts. Citizenship did not guarantee voting rights. According to Chief Justice Morrison Waite, who wrote the deciding opinion, quote, women's suffrage was explicitly excluded in nearly every state, either in the Constitution or in its legal code. No state had been excluded from joining the Union for lack of women's voting rights, including states re-entering the Union after the Civil War with newly written constitutions. And arguments about the need for women's suffrage were irrelevant to their decisions. So their ruling was based on interpretation of the Privileges or Immunities Clause of the 14th Amendment. While the Supreme Court readily accepted me as a citizen of the United States, their interpretation of the Constitution stated that those constitutionally protected privileges which pertained to the citizens did not include the right to vote. In essence, a woman's right to vote was irrelevant. I do not think anyone's right to vote is irrelevant. Thanks to many courageous women and men, too, who worked for women's suffrage, the 19th Amendment overruled any obstruction to voting based on sex. It is not only our right, but also our responsibility to exercise, ensure, and protect voting rights for all of our citizens. To what length would you go if your right to vote, once again, became irrelevant? Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, let me say thank you. Last year, I was able to be here and participate in this wonderful event recognizing Women's Equality Day as Barbara Jordan. I got invited back today to be Joanne Collins, so that's wonderful. I want to thank all of the sponsors and all of our individuals who are participating in the program today, and I want to especially recognize our women suffragists who are out there in their all white, purple, and their yellow. You're looking good. And to our MC, Diane, who has to sit under the sun the whole program, congratulations and thank you for your endurance. As a lifelong member of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, the Freedom Church, whose well-known members are Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, and Harriet Tubman, my life has been dedicated as an American citizen to human rights, economic parity, environmental justice, gender equality, equity, and voters' rights. I stand on the shoulders of great women that expression has been used a lot today, past and present, that brings us to this year's theme, Women's Equality Week, pushing back and marching forward. I know how important the Voting Rights Act is to women and to African Americans. It took the constitutional amendments 13, 14, 15, 19, 24, and 26 to support my right to freely vote as an African American woman. That all-male group that wrote the Constitution could not predict the future outcome of that famous document. Even a female secretary could have informed them of the error of their ways. And I know the times there was no female secretary. Okay. I believe that parents, religious organizations, and schools could do more to educate our children about the importance of voting and monitoring our electorate to make sure they are truly representing our best interests. Also, I think in the Midwest, the heart of America, the greater Kansas City area, could lead the way so that the East Coast, the West Coast, and sometimes even the states of the South of these United States do not dominate our national election results. I was taught how hard-fought masses of African Americans and a few white people had worked, struggled, bled, and died to get our freedoms. There has been recently some what I call master slave plans to turn back the hands of time. No matter how the laws are changed, modified, eliminated, or by whom, we will push back and march forward. We will register, vote, and make the difference in political races and ballot issues on the local, state, and federal levels that will ensure women are not set back. Instead, we will ensure pay equity, quality and affordable education, courtroom fairness, and adequate and affordable health care. Women, minorities, and seniors will vote in rural and urban America for officials and issues in greater numbers this year and in the future. After all, we as women and minorities are the majority in this country. We will teach, we will mentor, we will coach and convince our neighbors, friends, and families of our rights and our responsibilities. We will empower our young people by helping them to understand that they will have a better future if they register and vote for decision makers who are not self-serving but are in the business of serving others. We will be the voice of the voiceless until they develop the power and the will to speak for themselves. We will not be deterred from this mission, bamboozled by false promises and selfish motives that keep us from remembering that our sheer numbers, our wise strategies, and political insights will develop results and deliver results. Proposed restricted voting laws anywhere at any level will be challenged in the courts, in the state houses, and in city and county government. The Supreme Court's dismantling of the Voting Rights Act will not diminish our voter turnout at any level, nor discourage our efforts. We, as women, minorities, and the poor, will deliver on the promise of this country. It is not just for rich white men, but it's for the rest of us, all of us. We have the vote power. After all, those male signers from just 12 states that wrote the Constitution started off with the right words, we the people. Well, now in 2013, we are the people.
Good evening. Are we fired up yet? Yo me llamo Laura Isabel Alvarez. That's my name. I stand before you to speak about a right my mother's mother of mothers had to fight for. Y me enfrento a ustedes para decirles de un derecho que la madre de mi madre, de su madre, tuvo que pelear. Era el 4 de junio del año 1919 cuando el Congreso pasó la enmienda 19 a la Constitución. The 19th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution passed June 4th of 1919. Pero no fue hasta el 18 de agosto del año 1920 que se ratificó el derecho de votar siendo mujer americana. But it wasn't until August 18th of 1920 that ratification was granting all American women the right to vote. El día que la cara del voto cambió para siempre fue agosto 26, 1920, cuando el secretario de Estado certificó la ratificación. In 1920, on the 26th of August, was the face of the American electorate changed forever, when the Secretary of State certified the ratification. So today, as I ask you, are we fired up? I want to share with you famous words that aren't mine. I like encouraging sounds, you know. Quiero compartir con ustedes palabras famosas que no son mías. From the depth of need and despair, de la profundidad, de la necesidad y desesperación, people can work together. La gente puede trabajar juntos, can organize themselves to solve their own problems. Pueden organizarse a resolver sus propios problemas and fill their own needs with dignity and strength, y llenar sus propias necesidades con dignidad y fortaleza. That was César Chávez. Pero hoy les digo, today I tell you, I, Laura Isabel Alvarez, will fulfill my responsibility from the depth of the womb, of the womb, of the womb, for the women that fought for my right to vote. Y hoy les digo, como la hija de María Rosaura Álvarez, lleno la responsabilidad de la matriz, de su matriz, de su matriz, de la mujer que peleó por mi derecho a votar. Y te pregunto, ¿qué? ¿Tú no tienes esa responsabilidad también? So I want to ask you, what? You don't have that responsibility too? So today I say, gracias por llenar esa responsabilidad de votar y decirles a tus familiares y a tu comunidad que voten. And I thank you for filling that responsibility and filling that responsibility to tell your neighbor, your family member, and your community that they have the responsibility to vote.
Well said to all of you. Thank you, Mrs. Minor, Mrs. Gellhorn, Mrs. Collins, and Miss Alvarez, for your candor and your insights. We take pride in your accomplishments and we honor your work. So you keep hearing this theme of we are building on our past, we are creating a foundation for the future. Think about it. What does the future hold for young women coming up today? What challenges will they face? Will they have affordable higher education? Will they be able to have a career in which they can truly utilize their talents and earn a livable wage? Will they have affordable health care, a sustainable world in which to live and raise their children? Or will they be kind of shackled to the battles of the past? What challenges do they face and what is their vision? We now have an opportunity to hear from a couple of young women who are our future. So please welcome our future to the podium as we hear their thoughts. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elena. I went to Madam President Camp last year, and I just want to tell my story. Madam President Camp is a political savvy place for young girls to go and learn that they can achieve anything they put their mind to. I made the decision to go to Madam President Camp because I've always been interested in politics, but I had no idea how I could express that interest being this young. So you can see just how excited I was when the chance arose for me to go to this camp. Participating in this camp gave me exposure to city and state government in action, from attending a city council meeting to witnessing the governor sign a bill. How many kids can say they have experienced something like that? Not even many adults can say that. But through Madam President Camp, I've been fortunate to experience things like that, in addition to meeting many inspirational women, many of whom are here today. Women's involvement in politics can begin at a young age. That is exactly what this camp instills in every young girl that participates. Not only do they learn that women have a voice in politics, but they learn how to be heard. Their involvement in our communities can ensure a better future for everyone. Even though I cannot yet vote, I know how much of an impact one vote can make. And years from now, when I'm able to vote, I hope that I will have the privilege to select from a range of strong women candidates. Through this camp, I realized you do not have to sit around in your own little corner wishing and waiting on the world to change around you like Cinderella did. You have the power to make things change. In place of a pretty glass dress or a pretty glass shoe and a pretty dress, we have been given the power to shape and change our community and our country. So thank you to those who are here in support of those little girls and young ladies who are trying to come out of their corners and make something positive out of their ideas. Thank you for taking action, making the vote, and making a change.
We are going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, thanking you for coming. We send you forth with a charge. We know that one person alone will really be challenged in bringing about change. And change is what we want to bring about. We want to keep moving forward. But we also know that together we can accomplish miracles, really, that we cannot fail. Like the old African proverb says, when spider webs unite, they can tie up an elephant. So we charge one another with going forth. Visualize the kind of future that you want, you personally. What do you want? Everything that became a reality was first visualized. Whether it was the making of a cake or the building of a bridge, it was first visualized, the first step in having it become a reality. So let each of us visualize our own future, join together with others to make that future a reality. We can do that. That unity gives us power. And in wrapping up, the framers of our Constitution had such a vision. and I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, and thanks to the women's suffrage movement and the passing of the 19th Amendment, we can add women, are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So we too hold our vision for the future. We comprise a majority so we can make it happen. We go forth with this call to action, 50-50 by 2020. Our work starts now. Our work continues on and on. Thank you.